Alright, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. This episode, I can't bring myself to review it normally because it will only consist of me continuously pointing out the flaws and the groan-worthy moments and the treasure trove of continuity errors. Not a lot of jokes came to mind for this one. And if I just wanted to rail about plot holes for 20 minutes in a monotone voice, I'd try to be CinemaSins. So to make it slightly entertaining, I'm gonna review it in Razor Fist form.
You have been warned. So our episode starring the titular pretty prismatic pastel pony begins with a pep talk by Little Miss Pride Parade herself. The other one.
We're all ears. Right, bulk biceps?
I'm all muscles! Yeah!
Now, when I say there are constant continuity errors in this episode, this is one of those innocuous instances. However, you gotta talk about the elephant in the room when your directors instruct the voice actor to intentionally subdue his speech, downplaying the reason the character of Bulk Biceps became beloved and mimetic in the first place. No disrespect to the actor, Michael Thompson, who's graced us with his work as the Tick XP Death Spank and his 50 billion iterations of our love-to-hate sweetheart Starscream. Oh wait, maybe that was the reason.
Hey!
Oh, thanks, Pinkie Pie. That was a great cheer.
My dear Fluttershy, I sincerely hope you are able to avoid the sundry screams of stimulation when a plethora of pony patrons are declaring your name and placing the Taj Mahal-weighted pressure on you to bring home that coveted gold. Remind me again why Fluttershy volunteered for this? She is the last character of which anyone would place any expectations of Olympic expertise. And guess what? Her crippling inability to invoke any sort of public performance is merely the prologue of the writer's obliviousness novel. Look, if you want to have Fluttershy boldly try out for the Equestria Games and get some follow-up on that Hurricane Fluttershy goodness, great! More power to you. The bolder the better. The satisfaction of seeing her escape the prison that her name has tragically trapped her in is something fans have been coveting ever since the Flutter episode morals began to meld into monotony. However, using her real fears as a one-off gag, drawing no attention to them for the entire episode, and then completely forgetting about them when Philly Vanilli rolls around, you shouldn't be surprised when grown men make web shows with hypocrite OCs where their running gag is praising something that should be standard in your show.
And after that, for when we win gold medals at the Equestrian Games!
What?
And after that, for when we win gold medals at the Equestrian Games!
You're supposed to speak words, not chew on them. But it appears that Bulk Biceps' voice is one of the many casualties of continuity errors. Apparently, our special snowflake Bulk Biceps now channels Pit, and that his wings are useless without the assistance of divine intervention. We clearly see him helping Rainbow Dash and Hurricane Fluttershy, and qualifying for Wonderbolt's Academy Indock, where we see him flying with nary an issue. This is so forced, Obi-Wan is checking for midichlorians.
My little boy.
And so, the inquiry that we must insist upon is this. Why is Rainbow Dash, whose aerial athleticism transcends Mach 10 if internet nerds are to be believed, is being saddled with the two contrivedly weak flyers for the relay?
Sorry we couldn't fly with you on the aerial relay, but the air sprinters needed us too.
Too bad we can only compete in one event. But rules are rules.
That's right, everyone. That's really what they're going with as their justification. There are two problems with this. Firstly, admittedly a more weak criticism, but it still needs to be said that one of the most popular Olympic rules that allowed Michael Phelps to bring home 23 golds and become a household name is being tossed into the trash solely for the sake of keeping that ball made of delicious plot rolling. Second, and I know I'm harping on this to high heaven, but does Hurricane Fluttershy just not exist? Have you seen the grand amount of Ponyville Pegasi that were in that episode? And the kicker is, that wasn't even everyone. There were actually very powerful flyers out sick. You expect us to believe that every single one of them is incapable of attending or just doesn't want to perform, but Fluttershy does? And since then, we've had a certain plot-critical pony add wings to her repertoire who could have easily entered the games. Fall Weather Friends demonstrates that she had what it took to get 5th place in a marathon. She's literally right in front of her. Have we entered a parallel universe where character progression and consistencies have ceased to be? I thought Starlight lost! But it's not all bad because we soon find out that the area to Rainbow Falls might need to get their water checked out. Jokes aside, the setting is very pretty. Nicely settled into a mountainside, the rainbows are subdued, making them surprisingly easy on the eyes, and we actually get to see some griffins participating. And as usual with MLP, if Luna or the Changelings are any indication, expect no follow-ups until one season later. Minimum. We also see that the Wonderbolts are flying for a rival city. It's not uncommon for military to compete in sports events. The annual Army versus Navy games are always a titillating treat, and there are unofficial events happening all the time if you happen to get stationed on a joint operating base when you're at your MOS school or you enter the fleet. And it pleases me that the members of those events do not share the incompetence of these winged hacks.
We want to qualify. We need to be one of the first 4 teams to cross the finish line.
There are 5 teams that qualify later. Look, I know you hold the continuity of the show in contempt like a neglected stepchild, but you should at least be able to keep your own story in check. Then we witness Applejack doing something.
What the? Sorry. Got the idea from them, but... Touchdown, takes up! It looks like they got better aim.
They also let the team know that they were doing it. Moron. Even then, why are they even doing this? There's no reason to eat during the relay, and eating while exercising will only get you cramps. This moment is entirely pointless. But anyways, we gotta set up our conflict of the episode. Turns out Soren still hasn't gotten over the event that gave him the nickname Clipper, and nearly gets seriously injured if not for Rainbow Dash swooping in and scooping Soren out of the sky, bringing him down to the ground, and now he's okay.
I'm just so proud of you. You scooped Soren out of the sky and brought him down to the ground, and now he's okay.
The audience has eyes! Fuck this exposition! You're a show for little girls, not toddlers with the attention span of a goldfish! So, due to Soren's unfortunate encumbrance, the 2 other Wonderbolts put on their supervillain sunglasses to symbolically showcase how they become blinded in pursuit of glory. You're so clever, episode. And they ask Rainbow Dash to practice with them in order to manipulate her to choosing them over Ponyville.
Don't want to be too worn out by the time the race comes around.
We put you through some pretty intense workouts at the Wonderbolt Academy, and you handled those just fine.
So that episode does exist. The one where we can clearly see both biceps flying, and flying well. And not this tripe where he is so inept that he... And we get a wing-up montage where we see that apparently Fluttershy can't do wing-ups anymore. And we see Rarity's contribution. Wait, seriously? Rarity designed those. I mean, I know the hotel in Soap Line from Rarity Takes Manhattan wasn't exactly her magnum opus, but her eyes have feasted upon fashions of hers that would make Coco Chanel proud. Yes, that is where the name comes from for those that don't know. We have seen that Rarity prioritizes aesthetic over practicality, but she's hardly blind to either, and these goofy rags she put Ponyville's reps in fail to meet either standard. But anyways, Twilight tells Rainbow that she noticed her sneaking out, but the Wonderbolts arrive and drop the bomb. They want Rainbow to abandon Ponyville and fly with them. And the subtlety present in this scene rivals that of King Sombra. So, this is our conflict of the episode. Rainbow Dash choosing between the one she promised to fly with, or her dream of flying with ponies she idolizes. It's a tricky dilemma, as no matter what she chooses, one of the teams may not qualify. So she decides to screw them both over. And so the pseudo-broken Rainbow Dash is transported to the hospital, and I swear, listening to her lie is like listening to nails made from rusted steel scraping on a chalkboard.
No way I can fly now. I'll be lucky.
Cringe!
We'll be all right. We even have a replacement.
Hey look! There's a Ponyville flyer right there! Haven't seen you since the soccer moms got their panties in a tizzy over absolutely nothing. Okay. Not finding good flyers from Ponyville? Believable if you squint a bit. If we choose to completely ignore Hurricane Fluttershy like this episode seems to be begging us to do, most Ponyville ponies are Earth ponies. It makes some sense to have a more limited selection of athletes. However, the Wonderbolts needing a Cloudsdale representative? Cloudsdale is a city exclusively consisting of Pegasi! Either the Wonderbolts are incredibly lazy or are striving to be the absolute worst exemplar of nationalism.
Hopefully your wing will be better soon.
Oh, it's fine. I'm just keeping it warm in case my team wants me back.
Spitfire and Fleetfoot told me that you were still too injured to fly.
And they told me that they were worried I wouldn't be 100% by the tryouts, so they were going with some pony else.
So, the latter then. Rant? Here's something that's been poorly conveyed to us that the show does nothing to explain. What are the Wonderbolts? Stunt flyers? Military? Emergency response? Or are they purely performers for Equestria's many festivals? Actually, that would explain why they get so much business. The point is, the show clearly treats them as a unified, militarized organization with rules and regulations equivalent to that of an official army. They even have a rich military history. So why, in Celestia's name, are they so repeatedly insignificant, incompetent, ignoble, immoral, and just downright immature? And the worst part is, we're still expected to believe this organization is honorable and a worthy goal for Rainbow Dash to aspire to. If their aim was to make the Wonderbolts an imperfect figure for Rainbow Dash to set straight, fine. I'd love an episode showcasing Rainbow Dash dealing with broken pedestal syndrome. Reconstruction is one of my favorite tropes in fiction, but when you frequently show their leaders and members making frequent detestable faux pas that it borders on lunacy and it gets hand-waved like they spilled milk, it breaks your suspension of disbelief. It makes you wonder how Spitfire or the rest of the Wonderbolts haven't lost any respect or credibility from the populace. Are the Wonderbolts truly so grand and wonderful that they are to be seen as such? My answer? Absolutely not. Their atrocities have elevated to such an extreme that the Royal Guard is starting to look competent by comparison. And I cannot believe that those words just came out of my mouth. Next!
Even with Rainbow Dash's replacement, I don't think we're gonna qualify. No offense.
Okay, one point in this episode's favor, if only for the delicious irony. Derpy being so secure that she doesn't get offended. But Rainbow Dash has decided enough is enough and walks out. Yeah, you see that face? That is the face of someone trying to ignore that the yellow on their tail mysteriously vanished. And Rainbow Dash gives Spitfire a stirring speech about loyalty and how she doesn't want it to support a team that treats its flyers like a liability. Didn't we already go through this shtick at Wonderbolt's Academy, where Rainbow turns in her badge because the Wonderbolts refuse to crack down on unsafe behavior? Spitfire even addresses it!
Rainbow Dash, you are something. Saw it at the Academy, seeing it again here.
Again, this is emphasis to the point of, hey, maybe the Wonderbolts aren't as great as I think they are. It's like the episode is a broken vinyl and the monotony seeped into the show's continuity. But, of course, Ponyville qualifies, along with the Wonderbolts themselves, and 3 other teams. Hey, episode! Last I checked, only 4 teams were eligible to qualify. Now I'm starting to sound like a broken vinyl and say, where's the consistency? Continuity, thy name is not Rainbow Falls. At this point, I'm beginning to wonder if the guys looking over this episode actually watch their own show. This isn't freaking SpongeBob where it describes itself in the intro as nautical nonsense, and therefore has a free pass to treat its continuity with contempt. MLP bills itself as a slice of life with the occasional adventure spice, and has overarching plot elements. In fact, this episode is a critical part of setting up one of those overarching plots. You can't set up this sort of continuity and then ask us to ignore other parts of it when it's convenient. As for the episode itself, it's a one-way ticket to cringe central. There weren't enough writing inconsistencies to choke on, the lesson was painfully delivered, and the narrative just devolved into a liar-revealed scenario that is almost never pleasant to watch. The only positives I can really give is that the episode at least looks nice and it did have some funny moments like Derpy's little show of confidence. Also, aside from the plot-critical Rainbow Connection bit, this episode just feels redundant. It's the exact same moral that was presented in Wonderbolt's Academy, and unlike Fluttershy, where she is reminded of different elements of her character development, the lesson here does not deviate what was already presented in past episodes. Rainbow Dash's element is loyalty, and until the end of the episode, the only loyalty she displayed there was to herself. This isn't a moral reminder, it's completely resetting a character's growth that only reinforces how erratic this episode is with its story. It's a retcon buffet here that you could swear it's a straight-up reboot. I'm the Fiery Joker, and Celestia f***ing speed!
God